Hello there. You are listening to In the Books, a podcast where we discuss book-to-screen adaptations. My name's Michelle. I live in the States. You can find me at Musings on Instagram, and I am slowly closing down access to Twitter, so Instagram's the best place to find me.
Elon Musk did not have he had a brat summer, but it was the wrong kind of brat.
Yeah.
My name is Rita. I'm at Annoying Rita and only on Instagram, really. That's my social media of choice. And this week, welcome back. Long time, no listen. We're discussing the very first episode of My Lady Jane.
Yes!
Woo! Just in time for the show's cancellation, but don't talk about it. So My Lady Jane is a historical fantasy television series made for Amazon Prime starring the American Emily Bader as the titular character. So it's adapted by Gemma Burgess from a novel by Jodie Meadows, Brody Ashton, and Cynthia Hand. That's too many people. Don't think about it. So this provided a fantasy reimagining of the life of the very real Lady Jane Grey. You may have heard that the show has recently got cancelled, but we're hoping that the Sanditon Sisterhood can, get involved, call up some friends. If you got any pointers, let's get the show back on the air, because it's a fucking travesty.
Oh my gosh, yes, it is. But before we start ranting, it is time to begin with a recap of the pilot for My Lady Jane.
Okay, so the show begins with the rather fabulous narrator explaining the real history behind Lady Jane Grey. But, as they say, fuck that.
Yes.
The show posits an alternative narrative of history, one in which Rebel plays in the background while Lady Jane cures servant women's vaginas from STDs. A sentence I never thought I would say.
Yeah.
She's not saving herself for marriage, though. Lady Jane doesn't want to marry. She plans to publish and sell the world's first complete compendium of England's medicinal herbs and their uses. But her fun comes to an abrupt end with the arrival of the Duke of Leicester, a gross old man played spectacularly by Jim Broadbent. So disgusting.
Oh my god, yes.
He has inherited her dead father's entire estate, leaving her mother and her two younger sisters entirely dependent on his gross charity. He begins by sticking his smelly feet on the table while they're eating dinner and tells Jane she should smile more. The absolute worst. Jane says she has read that cherries help with gout. The Duke is shocked to learn the girls have been allowed to read, or, own books, look at books, know what books are. Jane's mother, Frances, dismissively explains that stupid women are tedious.
Yes.
The Duke announces that Jane is to be married. Jane doesn't take the news well and starts yelling at him and has to be physically dragged out of the room by her mother.
Frances shoves Jane into her bedchamber and gives her a stern lecture. She has refused to discuss suitors, or hunt, or dance, or do anything a young lady of her station is expected to do, because all she does is gossip with her servant and fiddle around with herbs. Or herbs.
Herbs.
Herbs. Herbs! Anyway, Frances, has betrothed Jane to Lord Guilford Dudley. Jane is disgusted. Apparently he drinks, gambles, and cavorts with women of ill repute. Dun, dun, dun! But that doesn't matter to Frances, who has to keep the Duke on side. They live on his charity alone, and he will soon tire of them. The Dudleys are rich, so this is a good deal for them. Jane calls her mother, a mercenary bitch, and when her mother tries to slap her in response, Jane grabs her hand and stops her. She promises her mother that she will do everything in her power to stop the marriage. Frances laughs and tells her she has no power.
Iconic.
Which was such a great line. I was just like, mic drop. But anyhow, so as her mother leaves the room, Jane notices her book on herbs that she has been carefully putting together is gone. Frances tells Jane she threw the wretched thing on the fire, and sure enough, Jane finds all her hard work burning in front of her. That night, as Jane is tossing and turning in bed, a voice-over announces that there comes a point in everyone's life when you realize you simply cannot put up with your mother's bullshit for another moment.
Iconic.
I love the voiceovers. They bring me life. Jane jumps out of bed and dresses. She heads down to the kitchen where she drags her maid, Susanna, away from an encounter with a very handsome new stable boy.
I was so annoyed. Susanna, stay in there.
Yeah, it's like, just give me a few more minutes, then I'll be out with you.
Finish at least. Christ.
I know. Jane has decided to run away. Susanna warns her that it's dangerous as they head for the woods. There is talk of a civil war with the Ethians. Now, we should explain what the Ethians are.
Watch the show, they explain it.
Ethians are basically people that can turn into animals. And
yeah, they're anamorphous.
Yes, they're animagi. But they have basically been declared to be, evil Satan spawn and must be destroyed. Henry basically banished all of them.
I mean, I do explain this in the recap pun.
Okay, I'll stop then. So, just Ethians, put that in your noggin, and we will come back to that. Okay. Jane argues that she will never be safe while her mother is trying to barter her and shows Susanna the ring she stole to buy them some security. As dawn starts to break, the girls hear sounds of men on horseback searching for them. They begin to run through the woodlands, but it's only a matter of time before they are caught. Frances, the badass, on horseback, orders the men to arrest Susanna, accusing her of stealing her ring and kidnapping her daughter. She will be hanged. Susanna apologizes and then turns into a hawk and flies away.
Julia, what the fuck moment.
Yes.
Okay. The narrator then interjects to explain that some people can transform themselves into animals. They're called Ethians. Everyone else, like Jane, is called Verity, and they believe that Ethians are dangerous abominations sent by Satan to destroy the Verity way of life. Because they dumb.
Yeah.
As an Ethian, you can't choose your animal form, but you can switch back and forth whenever you please. It skips generations and pops up now and again, usually in puberty, during a moment of high emotion. Kind of like Teen Wolf. Okay. For decades, Ethians have been reviled, persecuted, and banned. King Henry VIII exiled them to the wilderness where they must hunt, beg, or steal to survive. Oh god, I really hate having fantasy plots, but we'll move on. Back inside the manor house, Jane is sulking when she spots her mother preparing to leave for London to see Lord Dudley. Never one to be sidelined, she decides to follow her mother and intrude on their meeting. The Dudleys are going all out for the wedding party, importing tapestries from Florence and musicians from France. Jane is not interested in any of that. She's there to meet her future husband. But, what do you know, Guilford isn't around. He's, busy doing stuff, cavorting with the women of ill repute, or fiscal virtue, as she put it.
Yeah.
Fiscal virtue is a new one.
Oh, God.
Jane assumes that means he's out carousing and cavorting with sex workers, but Lord Dudley then mentions that his other son, Stan, quite the name, is engaged to a barbarian princess. Their wedding is postponed due to an outbreak of the plague. Jane again interrupts is probably what I meant. Jane again interrupts their gabfest with the assertion that she does not want to marry his son. Lord Dudley swats her away with a nobody cares what you want. Just brutal and
yes,
so camply delivered. Just perfect. And Jane storms outside and happens upon two street urchins begging a pompously dressed man for money.
Oh, I mean, pompously dressed does not put you in mind of what this fool is wearing.
Pastel pink.
Oh.
Just the puffiest puff sleeves and puff shorts. Just puff.
With a
puff on puff.
With a teeny tiny little, what was it, cod piece?
Yeah, the cod piece. Christ. This man teases the urchins, and when they become annoyed, he hits them. Quite the man. Jane, horrified, intervenes to make sure the children get their silver. But when she learns from the children that the man is Lord Dudley's prat of a son, she assumes he is Guilford, the man she is betrothed to, and reacts in disgust.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew the plot twist was coming, but still.
Of course. The cod piece would have just thrown me off. But anyway. Okay, cut to Hampton Court Palace, where a very sickly-looking Edward VI is reluctantly reading a proclamation to his army about targeting Ethians. When he goes off script, his advisor, Lord Seymour, calls for the chair and has the king wheeled off like an invalid. Edward, who is seriously not looking good.
He's not looking his best, no.
No. He is wheeled to his meeting with his Privy Council, where he is told the Ethian resistance have been caught sneaking into towns like Grimsby, which, as you will remember, is against the law.
And it's a cry for help because fucking hell, Grimsby is terrible.
Edward is confused. He is told there is enough food for them in the wild. Why would they be sneaking into a place as trash as Grimsby? He tells them not to kill the Ethians, just to have them put back in the woods. They are interrupted by the entrance of Jane, who has come to visit her beloved cousin. The council disperses. Edward introduces Jane to his adorable new doggie, Petunia, who is very devoted to him, just so sweet, and won't let him out of her sight. Jane suggests they go for a walk, and while they're getting some fresh air, she asks him to intervene and stop her wedding. Edward is like, "Girl, I already approved this thing." He sees it as her duty to the family and her fate, just as his is to be a dying king. Jane is like, "Wait, you're dying?" He tells her he has the affliction.
Dun, dun, dun.
A vague term, but Jane's reaction suggests it is lethal. Edward softens and tells her that he always thought marriage sounded rather fun. You know, a partner, a friend, someone to make you laugh, tell you that you're not alone. Yes, but Jane wanted to choose that partner. Edward tells her that that's just silly. Silly, girl! The two happen upon Princess Mary and Princess Elizabeth in the grounds. Before Edward can get 2 words out, Mary shoves blackberry pie in his face, and after a few bites, he begins to choke.
Not suspicious.
No, not at all. Edward passes out on the ground, but Jane knows her plants and gets some lungwort into Edward to stop his cough and heal him.
I rewatched this, and the moment that she puts it in her mouth, chews it, and then sticks it in his is so incredibly gross.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just like,
Don't be doing that.
I know you need to get it into him, but
I'd rather
Jesus
die.
Wept. Ugh. Anyhow, especially, people aren't brushing teeth back then. I mean, ew. Anyway, everyone declares that Jane saved the king's life, but not in time to prevent Edward from suffering the menstruations of Dr. Butts. and his forceps.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the show cuts away before we can see where he puts them.
His name's Dr. Butts, so I have some, have some ideas. Cut to his sick room. The quote-unquote doctor is, of course, leeching Edward. A classic move.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's the Tudor doctor. Leeches, cat pee. Yeah. So he suggests he drinks boiled kitten tea with urine.
Old man's urine.
An old man's urine, yes.
To be precise.
Edward doesn't seem too enthusiastic about the idea. Lord Seymour suggests it's time to draw up a will now Edward is dying, and he assumes that Edward will name Mary as next in line. But sneaky Lord Dudley reminds him that Mary was declared illegitimate on account of her mother Catherine having previously been married to his father Henry VIII's brother. That is convoluted, but I assume you all know some basic English history. Mm-hmm. The other option is, of course, Princess Elizabeth. But her mother was Anne Boleyn, who apparently in this version of reality was an Ethian. I wonder what her animal was. I'm desperate to know.
Yes.
No one will accept that. So, the best candidate for the job is, dun dun dun, Lady Jane Grey.
Of course.
Of course. Lord Seymour calls shenanigans on Dudley backing the heir that just happens to be marrying his son. Therefore, his grandson would be King of England. These two men begin to squabble, but Edward interjects. He's already made his decision, and he has his will placed in the chancery for safekeeping and orders them not to open it until his death. Edward tries to rest, but is interrupted by a now desperate Lord Seymour, who insists on feeding him Mary's blackberry pie. And now that I'm saying it, that sounds like a double entendre. Oh my God.
Was it blackberry pie or was it eels?
No. The eels is later.
Oh, okay.
He came back with the pie, and I remember thinking, this is so suspicious, you weird man.
Mm-hmm.
So Petunia, sensing something, bites Lord Seymour, knocks the pie to the ground, and when Seymour attempts to have the dog killed, Edward puts his foot down and insists on dismissing the Lord. Stop touching my dog.
Yes.
Jane has been shoved on a carriage home. But, fortunately for her, a wheel comes off its axis, and she can pressure one of the king's men to let her borrow, quote-unquote, a horse. It's just a plan to escape. She's soon galloping off into the night all alone, reveling in her newfound freedom. But her joy is short-lived. She sees King's guards are riding through the forest, so she needs somewhere to hide. Luckily for her, there is a conveniently placed tavern up ahead.
So Jane enters the tavern. It's lively and wild, and men and women are drunkenly snogging and dancing. And we first see Edward Blumel, our male lead. I've murdered his name, I'm sure.
I think Blumel?
Blumel? Okay.
There's something... I don't know. Look, I don't know, but I would go French.
Okay. Edward B., our male lead, breaking up a tavern fight by pickpocketing some daggers, doing some impressive knife throwing, and then reciting a Latin poem about drinking. He has a fun vibe, and Jane instantly falls in lust. She approaches him at the bar and asks him if he comes here often.
Ye oldie pickup line.
Yes. And the narrator says something like, Jane is the first person to use that line, and 2 seconds later begins to regret her decision. It's awesome. Anyway, so come here often. They both cringe, but when he rudely burps, they start doing a flirty arguing thing that hits every enemies to lover fan's sweet spot. She criticizes his Latin pronunciation, and he calls her an insufferable pedant. She calls him the rudest man she has ever met, and he tells her she should mingle to see if there are others.
It's so witty. It's so great.
It's wonderful. It's all perfect, but before they can exchange names, they are interrupted by the arrival of some Ethians. Ethians are followed by guardsmen, so shit very quickly hits the fan. The guardsmen threaten to dunk, aka drown, every last one of the tavern's patrons unless they find him the man named Archer. Well, Archer steps forward and after a few words turns into a huge grizzly bear.
Yeah.
He makes light work of fucking up the guardsmen, and a huge brawl breaks out. A hawk flies into the pub and transforms into Susanna, the maid from earlier. She appears to be part of an Ethian gang, and Jane tries to speak to her, but is caught by a guardsman. Back at the palace, Edward is brought a plate of eels by a servant. Yum! Before he can take a bite, his dog, Petunia, turns into a naked woman. She has been sent by his great-grandmother to warn him that he does not have the affliction. He is being poisoned. This is a lot to process, of course, but Edward is instead realizing he has zero interest in women. Her naked body is doing zero things for him. Edward is gay! Welcome to the club, honey! Woo!
We have stickers and pins. I think we should get flags. Well, yeah, we do have flags. Ye olde flags. Let's make some.
Yeah.
We then cut to Lord Seymour and Princess Mary, who are snogging away clandestinely. Who saw that coming? Everyone?
Not me.
Really? They have chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
They have a very fun dynamic because Mary is clearly the dom in this situation, and Lord Seymour, her little subby little bitch,
Yes.
who is desperate to keep her happy. He promises her that Edward is becoming more and more weak, so she will definitely be the next queen. Back at the tavern, Jane is waiting in line to be dunked in the well. It's similar rules to the witch trials. The only way to prove you're human is to just die. Fun. When it's her turn, she begins to scream in protest, begging for her life. But luckily her mother arrives and pulls the "Do you know who I am?" card. And cousin to the queen that she is, Jane is above suspicion and on the next carriage ride home.
Mm-hmm.
It pays to be rich sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Jane and her mother jostle around uncomfortably. Jane begs her mother to call off the wedding, but Lady Frances tells her that if she doesn't marry Guildford tomorrow, Frances will be forced to marry her sister Catherine to the Duke of Leicester.
Oh.
Toe and all. I mean, the toe's the least of the worries, actually.
Oh.
Jane is horrified and finally acquiesces.
The next day, Jane is bathing ahead of her wedding, but her thoughts keep drifting back to the intriguing yet infuriating young man she met before. Those thoughts are interrupted by Margaret, her younger sister, barging into her room. She is dueling one of her toys and getting fake blood everywhere, which gives Jane an idea. We get a musical montage of everyone dressing for the wedding. Jane is snuck something by her sister, and when she is finished looking gorgeous in her disappointingly white dress, y'all know how we feel about that. Her mother shrugs and says, "I suppose you'll do." Which the voiceover says, which is the closest thing Frances will ever come to saying "I love you." Just like, God damn. Oh.
It just makes me love Frances more, not gonna lie.
I know. Oh my God. I have serious heart eye emojis for that woman. Night strikes and they make their way to a beautiful candlelit church. Jane trudges up the aisle looking forlorn. But as she approaches the blonde twat of a brother she thinks she is about to marry, he turns to reveal the real groom standing at the end of the aisle. It's, of course, the intriguing yet infuriating young man she met in the tavern, Lord Guildford Dudley.
Huzzah!
He looks as confused and surprised as her, but wryly recites his vows. Jane begins hers, but is forced to stop when blood starts gushing out of her mouth. She faint swoons, and her younger sister screams, "It's the affliction!" The crowd starts to panic. The king begins to have a cough attack of his own, and Guilford just shakes his head and smirks down at his bride, who peeks up at him before slamming her eyelids shut. End scene.
The best thing.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
delicious.
Oh my God.
Okay, so what's first impressions of the show?
Oh my God, what a frickin' romp.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Heart eyes emoji.
Yes. I mean, the first time I watched this, it was right after we'd finished Bridgerton 3.
Same.
And, I was thinking to myself, okay, I hope this is going to wind up cheering me up a bit. And within the first, 3 minutes, I was howling with laughter, going, oh, yes, this is going to do just fine.
This is exactly what we needed.
Yes.
A show that doesn't take itself so fucking seriously.
Oh my God. They are taking the piss out of each other so very hard.
I love it. Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
So happy we decided to do this. It's just like
yes.
a good pick-me-up.
Yes.
And the end of the episode, I was like, fuck. I can't watch the next one.
Yes.
I want it.
Same. And then we wound up having to take several weeks off due to all kinds of reasons.
A series of unfortunate events has nothing on us.
Yes. So I was very eager to get started on this so that I could finally see episode 2.
I think one of the best parts of the show is the cast. The cast is sensational.
Oh.
You got, icons everywhere. When Jim Broadbent showed up, I was like,
oh my
how
God.
did they get Jim?
Well, you knew he took it because,
He read the script and was like, I get to do this.
I have to do this. I just have to do this.
He was amazing. Then obviously we've got Anna Chancellor as Frances, just being the hottest bitch who ever lived, who kind of hates everything and everyone. Oh, she's just magnetic. The disdain with which she says her lines just makes me love her more. Obsessed with her. Then you've got national treasure, sweetheart Rob Brydon with his pierced lobe playing his one dangling pearl as he's playing
Dudley, the Dudley father, and he's just so good.
The scene between him and Anna Chancellor where they're like, how do you feel about the French? Tepid was comedy gold. These two people play off each other sensationally. And then Dominic Cooper, actual movie star Dominic Cooper. I want him to start singing ABBA songs. That would be sensational. And I guess Edward. Have you seen Edward? And you didn't watch A Discovery of Witches, did you? You're not. Are you aware of his swag?
He looks familiar to me from somewhere, but I cannot place him. But
we're going to Google him so that we can work out what you've seen him in.
My lord, he's so good.
This is perfect casting. He's sensational. I know him from A Discovery of Witches. He was in Sex Education, Killing Eve. He was briefly in Persuasion, the one we watched.
Okay. Then that's where I saw him. That must have been where I saw him.
This is where you get to see his full swag, which was evident in... Oh, God, he's so good in The Discovery of Witches. But, yeah. He's charming.
He is swagalicious.
He's just, perfect for romantic lead, like period romantic lead. I don't think he could do a modern day one that would make sense. He's got one of those interesting faces. I think they were during the summer. They said they included him Rodent Boy Summer.
What summer?
Rodent Boy.
Rodent Boy Summer.
Yeah, because people were really into men that looked a bit like rats, and he was included.
Wow.
Famously, the rat from Ratatouille. he kind of looks a bit like him.
Oh my gosh.
So he's having his moment, and I love that for him. And then there's also these newcomers, Emily Bader.
Oh my gosh. She is so fantastic.
So impressed with that accent.
Yes.
You know I'm an accent freak.
Oh.
It's hard to impress me.
I had no idea she was American.
Well, you wouldn't.
Of course not. But, oh, my lord, she was so good.
And Jordan Peters as Edward VI.
Mm-hmm.
He really impressed me. Never seen him in anything before. Charming, delightful, a role that could be kind of annoying, but he's just so sweet. The moment that they had together in the garden where he's talking about how he wishes, he always thought marriage sounded exciting.
Yes. Ugh. What an angel, baby.
I love him so much. And I think this role's going to be fun. Everyone's good.
Yeah.
Even like the little girl playing psychopath Margaret stabbing people.
Yes.
Just amazing.
Yes. I am, oh God, I can't wait to see where this is going. We've
somewhere
talked,
psychotic.
Yeah, we've talked about our appreciation of Frances, who is marvelous. I know she was in one of those, dude with the floppy hair, his name just flew out of my head.
Are you thinking Four Weddings and a Funeral?
Yes.
You're thinking Hugh Grant.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
This is how we know that
Hugh Grant.
We've been doing this for a while, that I understood Gina's floppy hair is Hugh Grant. Yeah.
Yes, Hugh Grant.
She's Four Weddings and a Funeral, I absolutely hate the main characters. But she's sensational.
Yeah, she's wonderful. But Frances, go.
I would do anything she asked. I would. It would be
wonderful.
Okay. The thing that I think is the best about this show is its tone. It's like a very unique tone in the world of period dramas. I think the only show that comes kind of close to this is a show we haven't done, but The Great, which is so funny. I would highly recommend. If we ever have time, that show got cancelled too. Oh. You can't do it. Let people do comedy period dramas.
But the tone of the show, and of course, whoever the person is that is doing the narration in this is bloody brilliant. With perfect timing, it's just marvelous.
I found out who the narrator is, and it's one of my favourite actors.
It's who?
Oliver Chris. He does a lot of work. Yeah, these are all people that are really British. So
God, he's so good.
I think his delivery is what is reminding me the most of The Princess Bride. Like, it's a very kind of Princess Bridey Shrek, that kind of camp.
Yes. Oh my God.
I love him, and I think we needed him desperately because the whole Animorphous thing is deeply weird.
Yes.
So fucking weird. And I remember actually reading the description of the book when it came out and thinking, oh, a retelling of Lady Jane Grey, I'd read that. I'm interested in her. And then reading the description, and it got to the animal thing, and I was like,
wait, what?
I'm putting this back. But something about like his delivery of all the information, and it really works.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It makes the fantasy aspect of that whole thing far less serious. It feels just like something they threw in because it was fun, rather than like dark, serious, animal turning in thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, here we go. I'm a person, and then I'm a hawk.
And then with the bear, they're like, the line where he said, "What, you never seen a bear in a bar before?"
Yes.
Dead. It's light, it's fun, it doesn't take itself seriously, which makes it work, I think, without the narration.
Yeah. It was, God, it's so much fun. I can't wait to watch episode 2.
Okay. So, storylines,
yes.
I think. Jane and her mother.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's really interesting that we've got, like, yet again, another mother figure standing in for the patriarchy. Like, this is a thing we're seeing so much on these period shows we're watching. Really excited to see season 2 of The Empress. What's that called?
Yes, The Empress.
And, like, they've got, like, a bitchy mother there. Bitchy mothers on Bridgerton. Like, it's funny how much emphasis all these different shows are putting into how women hold up the establishment. I think that's...
Yep. And how women use, at least the women in these stories, how they use the patriarchy in order to get their way. You know? Yeah, that kind of thing. I mean, any of you that have listened to Rita and I for, I think, any length of time will have to agree that there was nothing that was going to keep us from loving Frances.
First you cast
in the show
someone we adore.
Yeah.
Then you have her be like the bitchiest mother in the world.
Yes.
But also with good reason.
Yes.
Like, it's not just because she's evil. Like, I always find her logic completely sound.
Yep. Oh, man. It's wonderful. But the relationship that the two of them have...
toxic as fuck.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, and the fact that, you know, her mom basically says, all right, if you don't marry this dude, I'm going to have to foist your sister on Mr. Gouty Toe.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, what are you going to do now, Miss Thang? And she's like, oh, shit. Okay, wave the white flag.
She's playing chess. And
yeah. Oh, yeah.
This bitch playing checkers.
Yup.
But I also think, like, the Tudor period in real life had some really, like, powerful mothers in history, and it's great that it's reflected in the show, even as, like, dumb as some of the choices are. We're like, rebels playing in the background. Because I've seen so many, like, dumb... Wolf Hall, for example, tries to really sideline these women. And it's funny that, like, this alternative comedy history show probably gets a closer reflection of how powerful some of these women are. Admittedly, the rich ones.
Yes.
Yeah. The rich ones.
If you don't have money, then you're basically fucked.
You're fucked. But, you know, I think, like, it's interesting.
Unless you can turn into something.
Can you turn into money? That would be fantastic. I feel like the most fun part is, like, not knowing what the fuck Anne, Chancellor's character, Frances, is going to do next. Like, I feel like she would sell one of her daughters to the highest bidder. She's just scheming and evil, and she never factors in how they're feeling, and at any point she could be, like, plotting against Jane if she has to. I think that makes her way fun. Like, I like it. And it's also nice that we get, like, the main evil bad guy is a woman rather than the smartest person on the show isn't one of the scheming men at the
dudes.
court.
Yeah.
They're stupid.
Yeah. And, you know, it's like you just kind of watch the two of them and you just go, oh, you guys are so out of your league.
They don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you guys, you talk about pawns.
Exactly.
Yeah, talk about pawns. Yeah, that's who y'all are, even though you think you might be like one of these other chess pieces. You're really just a pawn.
But they like to play act and pretend they are.
Yes.
They do the little fighting in the corridors of power. So sweet.
Oh, it's adorable.
Jane and Guilford were fans, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I didn't need the slow back and forth camera to make me go, oh, chemistry.
That really reminded me of Dirty Dancing when she walks into the tavern. She's like baby seeing people kissing in public for the first time.
And just like, oh, and then who is that? The man in black.
Stealing knives and throwing them.
Yes. Oh.
I love that she's like, I don't want a man who cavorts in taverns and drinks. And then as soon as she sees one, she's like,
oh,
no,
you're like, strike that, reverse it. I am really appreciating this.
They have so much like sparky chemistry, and the whole banter between them in the tavern was amazing. Where he's calling her pedantic, and she's like, "That's a virtue."
Yes.
I, for some reason, got really hung up on the amiability is for the amiable, like the line delivery.
Oh, you have to wonder how much fun they must have had filming this. I mean, how do you not just chortle through your lines when they're just so perfect? They are magic.
It is like a cheesy romance novel come to life. It's perfect.
Yes.
The way it's filmed, their chemistry, the way they look at each other, his outfit and the floppy hair. It's just 10 out of 10.
Yes.
And I also really loved the moment where he realizes who he's marrying.
Yes.
His face in the picture. He sort of does the double check. Like, he checks with his father, like, this one? You sure? He's like, am I being pranked? This guy? Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I feel like they're gonna just fight for, like, the whole season. It's gonna be fun.
And torture us with near kisses and all of that kind of stuff until they finally do the deed.
I love it.
Sign
me up.
I'm ready.
Blood
ready.
oath. I'll take it.
I am ready. Oh,
my body
gosh.
has been waiting for this.
Yes.
Yeah, and I kind of want it to be drawn out for a few episodes.
Oh, same.
I think, like, when you have enemies to lovers, make them fight.
Yes. Yes.
Just do. It's like, it's foreplay. Anyway.
Yeah. Please don't have them kiss in the next episode, because that'll just piss me off. Let it be.
Do you think they're gonna kiss at the wedding?
3.
Or is that?
Well, the wedding, the way things ended at the wedding, who knows what's going to happen with regards
historically
to the
they
rest
get married,
of
so you would hope so.
Oh yeah, but who knows if it's going to wind up being, what we would ordinarily think of.
I really want a marriage of convenience. People falling, that's like my dream. Enemies to the lovers and marriage of convenience. Those are the tropes. Sweet kiss, delicious. I guess the other relationships we had, Jane and Susanna.
Yes.
Susanna.
Yeah.
I don't really give a shit about her being a hawk.
I would have liked to have seen the two of them just a little longer in their you're a hawk relationship.
That was the sweet spot when they were just being friends. Like,
yes,
it was really cute and fun. And the way she was like pulling her off that stable boy.
Yes,
adorable, cute. But then we're immediately separated.
Yeah,
after like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that kind of sucked. But I have a feeling that we will see the two of them meeting up again at some point.
Well, she's a delicious plot device, isn't she? She's my Ethian friend, which means that I can relate to Ethians.
Yes, she is. But hey, who knows if Jane herself is an Ethian?
Don't you think she would have turned into one by now? They're supposed to do it before puberty.
Yeah, but there's also, the caveat that it happens after some kind of wild emotion or something like that. And, her life has been pretty sheltered up till now. So, who knows?
I think it would be a bit of a plot twist, though, because her whole family are supposed to have pure verity blood. It'd be like a dark secret. Then again, they did say it skips generations, so her mother's not one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
we'll see.
So, we'll see what happens.
But just generally, I was, again, put off by the whole Animorphous thing. It's just, I've avoided those books and that TV show as a kid, because, it scares me. Gross. I hate the concept. But
well, I think
Petunia turning into a naked woman was really fucking funny and
that was
worth my whole discomfort.
Hilarious. That was hilarious.
Can you, let me borrow a robe? Because I'm, naked.
Yes. I'm not usually stalkers, but okay.
And the whole bear thing was really funny.
Yeah. God, that bear was massive. Oh my God. It was massive.
Are bears that big?
Well, grizzly bears are really quite large.
I'm wondering if it would be more useful if you were a really small animal. Because then you turn into a millipede. Where am I, bitch?
Yeah, you
Try
can't
catch me.
But I would think that if that was either a life size or maybe a little bit larger than life size. But
maybe it was a really small tavern.
Yeah, grizzly bears are massive animals. But
that dog was pretty big as well. I think they might have just gone for exaggeration. Yes. I loved the little doodle of that guy turning into a badger.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, a badger. It's but badgers will kick your ass.
Yeah, don't go near a badger.
Yeah.
They're vicious.
Yes.
What confuses me is, is this a metaphor for Protestantism? Because that's the big rupture that was there.
Yeah.
They've sort of superimposed animals on top of Protestants, which is really bizarre to me.
That would make sense to me. If we're talking about, taking this historical, the historical facts and giving them a twist so that we can see how this plays out. It's definitely much funnier
right,
with the animals as opposed to having Catholics and Protestants fighting again.
Yeah, we've seen that. I want to see a flamingo fighting with a grown man.
Yes.
I really hope the animals stay random.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to be, British.
Mm-hmm.
They're just
they are just, okay. It's
so fingers crossed for that flamenco. It could happen.
That I would probably laugh myself off the couch if I see a flamingo show up.
I really hope that's just random fucking animals, like a rhinoceros, just a penguin.
Exactly.
It must be really bizarre because half of these animals, these people ain't never seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be like, oh my God, what is this crazy animal? It turns out to be...
It's a parrot.
A koala.
Oh, what if you turn into, a dinosaur or something?
Ooh.
Because, technically, there used to be an animal.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Are laws of extinction at play here? I've once again made this too complicated. Do you have to be aware of the animal to turn into it? But then now, every time you see an animal, it could be a human.
Yeah.
So watch out.
Yeah.
If you see any, mice or...
Hell, it could be one of the horses.
I was kind of onto the dog straight away, by the way. Petunia, it was she won't leave my side. I'm like, okay.
Uh-huh. Well, okay. He's probably keeping an eye on you. Hell, it could be one of the horses. I mean, talk about a perfect spy opportunity.
That would be so good. You could hear all the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
People
Exactly.
just be chatting around horses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how anybody just has a pet in that society, though.
Seriously, you'd always be wondering. You'd always be wondering.
Okay, Mary and Lord Seymour.
Yes.
I'm down bad for this. I love
Mhm.
Mary as the one just toying with this man. He looks stressed.
Mm-hmm.
He's desperate to impress her, and she is using him, and it's delicious.
Yes.
Because he has this, like, vibe of, I'm the big, important, manly man.
Mhm. And she's
And he's
like,
just doing whatever
yeah.
she wants.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, manly man, nice thought. Come here, boy.
But, like, together they've come up with the stupidest plan ever. They think
Yeah.
they're going to get away with poisoning him.
Yeah.
There's like 100 ways that you can kill someone, like, and make it look like an accident in Tudor England. And they're like, have this black fruit pie suspiciously.
And it's slowly poisoning him. It's not something that, you would expect from someone that was going to be serious about it.
You'd want to do it slowly, though, to make it look like an illness rather
Yeah.
than...
Yeah.
So back in the Tudor days, they're like, somebody would get diarrhea once and die,
Yeah. Oh.
There's
Oh,
like
God.
this weird, like Mary versus Elizabeth thing that they're also doing, which
Mhm.
it's funny because it's cartoonish, but it feels like how people picture Mary and Elizabeth, of
Mhm.
like the nice sister and the evil dark Spanish
sister.
lady.
Yes.
Ooh, trying to poison him.
Bad.
Not a hater. I think that's perfect.
Yeah. It works for me. It is a trope that works for me. Gosh. Rob Brydon and the blonde son.
Yeah, I think at that point I hadn't worked out his name was Stan.
Stan. There's Guilford and Stan. What the hell?
Just go with it. Love the blonde son. I think
Oh my gosh.
he plays a dickhead perfectly.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
And then Rob Brydon has some of the most impeccable comedic timing
Mm-hmm.
and camp.
Yes.
I mean, he sprinkles camp into everything he touches.
Yes. The tapestries are from Florence and music from France. Ah, with his earring.
The earring is off. He's like making sure the earring is hitting,
Oh, yes. Got to make sure that it is in the shot
gleaming in the
at
shot.
all
Yeah.
times. Oh, it's
Yeah,
so good.
I just, every time he's on screen,
Mhm.
something amazing is about to happen. Oh my god, just remembered when he's talking about Catherine being Spanish, and he goes,
Mm-hmm.
Spanish?
Yes. Oh my god.
I love him. And his Stanley reminds me of Prince Charming and Shrek. So it's just full Shrek vibes.
Yes. Yes.
Just can't go wrong.
Nope. Oh my god.
Okay, historical corner.
Yay!
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to, but I was asked to, so here
Come on now, you got to.
The real Lady Jane Grey was an English noblewoman who claimed the throne of England from the 10th to the 19th of July, 1553.
9 days.
She was the great niece of Henry VIII and cousin to Edward VI, Mary I and Elizabeth I. So Jane was in line to the throne after her cousin. She had a humanist education and a reputation as one of the most learned young women of her day. But she was like 16, so let's not get our hopes up.
Yeah.
In May 1553, she was married to Lord Guilford Dudley, a younger son of Edward VI, Chief Minister John Dudley, Duke of Northumberland. 1 month after the dying Edward VI wrote his will nominating Jane and her male heirs as successors to the crown, in part because his half-sister Mary was Catholic, while Jane was a committed Protestant and would support the Reformed Church of England. So, again, this was a month after she got married.
Mm-hmm.
This is short.
Yeah.
This is so short. The will removed his half-sisters Mary and Elizabeth from the line of succession on account of their illegitimacy, subverting their lawful claims under the Third Succession Act, which I went into great detail about all the different succession acts in our Anne Boleyn podcasts.
Yes.
Henry VIII changed his fucking mind. But eventually Edward just decided, fuck all this nonsense. Edward's letters patent in favour of Jane was signed by the entire Privy Council, loads of bishops, and other noblemen. So this was like a fish. After Edward's death, Jane was proclaimed queen and awaited coronation in the Tower of London, like everyone was originally on board.
Mm-hmm.
Support for Mary grew rapidly. I mean, we're talking a few days. And most of Jane's supporters abandoned her. The Privy Council of England suddenly changed sides and proclaimed Mary as queen just 9 days after deposing Jane. And then, that means she committed treason.
Mm-hmm.
So her primary supporter, who was her father-in-law, the Duke of Northumberland, Pearl Wearer, was accused of treason and executed. Jane was also convicted of treason a few months later, which carried a sentence of death. She was executed. At the time of her death, Jane was either 16 or 17 years old.
What a damn shame.
This is famously one of the biggest reasons it sucks to be a woman in England. People will make you queen against your will and then be like, she committed treason, and then kill you.
I didn't do it, y'all. Damn it. Oh.
Yeah, so thank God there's a retelling.
As they said, fuck that.
R.I.P. Lady Jane. You would
Yes.
have loved, I don't know, TikTok. You're 16. I don't know,
Probably
doing weird dances. She's so young.
Mm-hmm.
Referenced in the episode is the Arch Poet. So the Arch Poet is the name given to anonymous 12th century author of 10 medieval Latin poems consisting of drinking songs, parodies critical of the church, and satires on the life of the clergy in the Middle Ages. The most famous being his Confession, which was quoted on the show. The full English translation of the Latin is thus: I am resolved to die in a tavern, so wine will be close to my dying mouth. We'll sing gaily the angels' choir then. May God be merciful to this drunkard. It's essentially
That's
just
great.
Isn't it fun to think people in the Middle Ages just wanted to get lit?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're just like us.
Hey, I'm looking forward to the G&T that's waiting me at the end of this. So
You should just quote the Arch Poet to make it slightly more classy.
yeah, there we go.
I do kind of wonder wye Jane knew about the Arch Poet. I get that he was really super popular, but she seemed like kind of a nerd.
Yeah. But
reading tavern songs and shit.
Exactly. She's brainy, but not that worldly. So how did the drunken poetry stuff get into her reading list?
I thought she was obsessed with herbs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on.
Okay. Favorite scenes. I think we've talked about a number of them, but is there one in particular that stands out for you?
The wedding. I think just the sheer drama.
Mm-hmm.
The drama.
Yes.
The reveal of Guildford standing at the end of the altar. It was telenovela.
Yes.
But in a funny way, in a we know this is ridiculous way, not in the Bridgerton way of this is the most dramatic thing you've ever seen.
Yeah. It's not really. Let's no. But I loved how he is staring down at her and she is lying there in her faint, and then her eye creaks open and then slams shut.
I love that he just doesn't say anything. He's like, okay. Even when there's blood gushing out of her mouth.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah.
I love that I'm miming. Nobody can see me, but you can see me.
Yes.
I'm pointing at my teeth.
There's something in your mouth.
There's something. You got a little.
There's something in your mouth. Oh God. Yeah.
He's on
that was. I loved that scene. I also loved the scene where, and you mentioned it earlier, where Jane and Edward are in the garden. Yeah, I really liked that scene. And then, of course, the scene where Edward discovers that women ain't his thing.
That was so good.
That was just beautifully done.
I also love that his reaction to being poisoned is like, oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen shows where they're like, that's not true. That can never be happening. The drama. And he's just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
All right.
I love him.
I can buy that.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
I hope he's not dying. I hope that now they figured it out.
I hope we at least get one more episode with him, if not two, because I'm greedy.
Like, why introduce Petunia if you're not going to save him? Save my Edward.
Yes.
He's too delicious. He needs to have his actual gay awakening. It's not fair.
At least before he dies, because she has to become queen at some point. So...
Yeah, this is confusing. Favorite performance?
Oh, gosh. Favorite performance? I would really have to give it to the pair of them, Guilford and Lady Jane. Especially their scenes together, which works so well. I think that, we have talked about how much we love Francis and how much we love Lord Dudley and,
everyone
all of their hilarity. But the Lady Jane and Guilford are my favorites.
They have so much chemistry, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it is. You want to just say, hey, y'all, get a room.
Well, they will be.
Yeah, very soon.
I think I would choose the narrator, Oliver Twist, because I think the whole show would fall apart without him dripping every ounce of sarcasm into all these lines. I mean,
Agreed.
That's my favourite lines of the whole show were his.
Yeah.
I think that's that bit where she's sulking in the bath and he goes, not spending more time with intriguing yet infuriating young men. It was one of the chief injustices of Jane's life. And, it's a good line, but it's like the delivery just makes it
all that much better. Yeah.
And the moment where he interjects and is like, lust at first sight.
Yes, there's no such thing as love at first sight, but lust at first sight?
He's like, yeah. I love him. So, 10 out of 10. It just makes a good scene even better. Okay, costumes, hair, and makeup. I don't really have much to say.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, the costumes were fine. I don't think they were anything to write home about.
I think it's because, if they were accurate, the Tudor period has some of the most atrociously ugly outfits you've ever seen. And, I respect that they're like, fuck that nonsense, we're going to try and make them look human. So we have something that's sort of Ren Fairy sort of vibes. Yeah.
Okay, I have it for you. Tudor or Georgian? Or Regency? Tudor or Regency?
Yeah, but this isn't real Tudor. Are we talking real Tudor or real...
I'm talking real Tudor and real Regency.
Real Regency.
Yeah.
Because there's too many layers with Tudor, and then I've got to also cover my hair and shit, and I'm thinking about that. When they're wearing the weird collars.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I would... Confusingly, though, I would rather be a woman in the Tudor era than I would be in the Regency period because they actually had a lot more rights. the Enlightenment as much as they're like, it changed the world. It really repressed women in a lot of ways. So fuck that.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't mind that her hair was down the whole time. I was like, she's rebellious. That's fine. I guess, like, the one outfit that I really noticed was Stanley's pink one, and then also the blue wedding outfit with the piece.
Oh my god.
The iconic line. Leave them wanting less.
Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Perfect.
Oh,
and then by contrast, you have, like, Guilford, who's always just wearing his little rock and roll. He looks like he could be a member of, like, the Rolling Stones in the 60s with his little outfits.
Yes.
It's delightful. He's like the picture of what I imagine when I'm reading the like half done up shirt, the hair, the dry tone.
Oh my gosh.
Now that I think about it, he should play like one of the Rolling Stones in a movie.
That would be great. He would also do a great job with Adamant.
Stand and deliver.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
In terms of locations, did you recognise?
No.
Oh my god. We had the Great Chilford Manor, which was used in Poldark.
Oh my gosh!
How could you not recognise?
Oh my gosh, you have to take my Poldark fangirl card away.
Take it away.
Take it away.
Because that is Caroline's house.
Oh my god.
They were all up in that bitch running around it. I was like, I'm very familiar.
I am shamed. I am ashamed.
I'm going to get you one of those bells. Shame.
Shame. Shame. Yes. Ugh.
And then we got like an actual castle, the Dudley. They had estate. They had a moat. They had a fucking moat.
Loved it.
So happy.
Loved it.
And then like Hampton Court is being Hampton Court. It's like very obviously the furnishings are wildly inaccurate to the period. Just go with it. The buildings are cute.
Appreciate the architecture, man.
Yeah. I also really liked that they had her following on a boat because like so many like historical accounts of that era have people like arriving and leaving on boats. They're always they always talk about how like coronations and everything they would arrive at the tower on a boat and all this shit, and then whenever you watch something that's set in the Tudor period, everyone's on a fucking horse.
Yeah.
Let's use some boats, motherfuckers.
Let's work the boat shit. Come on.
Come on. It's cool. Music.
Oh my gosh.
I looked this up. So we had All the Day and All of the Night. It was a cover of The Kinks, obviously, but it's by Kate Nash. She of You Must Eat So Many Lemons Because You Are So Bitter fame.
Okay.
She's very British. Love her.
But yeah, that was great.
That was good.
I thought all of the covers were awesome.
Right? It's a very 1970s vibe.
Very much so. Rebel. Absolutely.
Yeah. By Tegan and Sarah. That was the end of the episode. And then we had like 2 original songs. I Didn't Like You Anyway by the Donners. That's playing at the tavern. I thought that was right on the nose.
Perfect.
And then there was the Vertigo song by Alice Merton as Jane enters the wedding. Like
another
chef's kiss.
Perfect. Another perfect song.
As I was researching this, I realized all of the songs were by women.
So
we got like women everywhere.
I just love it. Girls rule the world, man.
Loved it. The music was great. It adds another layer of like. There is something interesting about how they're using a lot of like 70s like counterculture music for Jane because she's like in her rebellious era.
Yes,
that's good.
Yes,
and
her rebellious era. Yeah, her rebellious era sadly lasts about a week or about a fortnight.
She's gonna free the Ethians through her.
Well, yes,
role as queen.
Yes.
I have faith in her. her single era is much shorter.
Yeah. Gosh. Now, was there anything that you didn't like?
No.
Yeah. I thought it was brilliant from start to finish.
I love how short it is as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, shout out to the crisp editing of just like boom, boom, boom.
Yes. They really kept the story moving and really kept us so engaged. It was fantastic.
Okay. So, how many horseshoes out of 5?
I'm going to go 4.5.
I was about to say 5, but you're much more sensible.
I'm leaving room. I have learned my lesson.
Yeah, to be honest, I think they could be like better. So 4.5 is more sensible.
4.5, I'm going to leave it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What if next week's better? Exactly.
Exactly. See? We can slowly begin to tease our way up to 5. Although you hate that, but anyway.
No, I just don't like it when you do 4.75.
That's what I was going to say. If next week is better, okay, 4.75. Still leaving room.
The quarters is just like, when you go to review Goodreads and if you do like 7.5, I think you're a crazy person. Palms are the way to go. Okay, in books.
Okay.
Hello, Michelle and Rita. I had binged My Lady Jane right after Bridgerton and I'm obsessed. It is so much better than Bridgerton, in my opinion. Everything about this series is just wow. I love that it's a very different take on the real Lady Jane Grey. It's just fun. Love Jane, her sisters, especially Margaret. Lady Frances is giving Portia Featherington vibes.
Yes.
Positive. Love the crazy Princess Mary. I'm not a fan of Dominic Cooper, but he is great as Lord Seymour. Stan Dudley wears some crazy outfits, but Guilford Dudley, OMG yummy. The only thing is that young Princess Elizabeth does not have much screen time. Yeah, she's kind of a non-entity.
Yeah.
Bless her. Poor little Bess.
Yeah.
I'm very happy you all are doing this series on your podcast, and I can't wait to hear your recap. Delia.
Oh, thanks, Delia.
Hey. See? She binged it, so it must be good. There can't be a disappointing ending.
Okay. I will cling on to that. Hey, ladies, so glad we get to talk about something new this time around. Lady Jane, yay! The opening set up with narrator Oliver Chris saying, "Fuck that! What if history were different?" I was on board immediately. What I liked was that up front, you knew that you were going to get sassy, smart, and funny dialogue with a series of fun actors, some with serious acting chops, giving you an irreverent take on how things could have been in an alternate universe, and all on a background of great music. I mean, the opening song for Lady Jane is Rebel Rebel. Perfect. Lady Jane gets ticks in all areas. The production values look great. Costuming beautiful. Not gaudy and over the top. Yes, I am referring to the season 3 of the show that shall not be named. And the scenery sets were stunning. I have no issue with use of profanity. I've seen others elsewhere complain of this, but I think it falls within the stylistic narrative of what is being presented. It isn't trying to recreate the Royal Shakespeare Company, and I'm fine with that.
I think Shakespeare would have loved some swears.
Oh, for real. Let's see. God knows it is great to have variety within the genre. The only caveat is some of the cheesy lines were really cheesy, but not enough to put me off. The story has all the hallmarks of the enemies to lovers genre, with a smart, intelligent girl being married off against her will for a financially and politically strategic outcome. The twist isn't that her intended is actually a gorgeous hunk that she obviously hates on first sight, but is in fact that the weird, fantastical, mythical Ethians that are apparently plaguing the kingdom and the crazy government wants to kill them all. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, I'm on board for this rollicking story. I can already tell that Margaret is going to be one of my favorite characters. Laughing, crying emoji. I am loving most of the characters in the episode thus far. What I'm most interested in is asking, will Rita reintroduce her historical facts section for the podcast? You know we missed that. Winky face emoji. Ciao, Maria. Thanks, Maria.
Thanks, Maria. Yeah. I don't know how close this is ever going to get to fucking history for me today. Okay, so we had some comments on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
McNooty. I'm sorry if that's not how you pronounce your username, but in all fairness, that's not English. When I watched this show on vacation in Finland, I hoped you ladies would cover this. It was cute, not great, but I will watch season 2 if there is one. Bad face emoji. Love the lead actor from when he was in Persuasion. Angela Nogoshan Chan. I'm sorry. I'm so happy to hear you're going to do this show for your next podcast. This is my newest favourite show. I was hooked from the first episode, and I was rooting for Jane and Guilford from the moment they met. I loved their chemistry and banter. There was also so much humour in the show from the get-go. Also, the use of music too was great. I especially liked their use of Rebel Rebel in the first episode. Very appropriate. Can't wait to hear the podcast. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, so.
Okay.
Are you ready for episode 2?
Yes!
Okay, the description. Jane does not want to fantasize about Guilford. Guilford does not want to be cursed. Edward doesn't want to be killed. But nobody cares what they want. Cryptic enough for you?
Oh my god! That's so perfect. Nobody cares what they want. Yes.
So, I'm hoping for more sexy times if she's fantasizing about Guilford.
Oh, yay! Mm-hmm. Yes. Maybe not kissing him yet, but sexy time fantasies. Always a fan.
I feel like they're still going to be fighting for a few
yes.
Few more episodes.
Yeah, they got to be duking it out for a little bit. So,
can't wait.
I can't wait to watch it, which might be happening now. We'll see. Anyhow, that's it for this episode. We'll be back next week discussing episode 2 of the show. If you want to get involved in the podcast, you can email us at inthebooksnetwork@gmail.com. We are on Instagram, so please follow if you want fun bonus content and updates on the podcast. If you enjoyed the pod, please please rate, review, and tell your friends. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye!